Alright, hello everyone, it's silverkyle, and today we're going to be going over everything that occurred in the Nintendo Direct that was launched today that blew me out of the... This feels like it was tailor-made for me. If you don't like farming simulators and RPGs, it's not really going to be your favorite Nintendo Direct at all, because that's a lot of what they showed here, but there were so many games, and as it was going on, I was just freaking out more and more and more. This is exactly what I want. The only thing that I think could have really added a little bit more to this is two things. One of them, we've been hearing about a Donkey Kong game that's been, in the works for a while, potentially. And I think that would have been really cool to see just a little glimpse of it right here. I think that would have just added a nice little touch, but I'm okay with it not being there. But one thing that I think really should have been here is Zelda Wind Waker HD and Zelda Twilight Princess HD. Especially Twilight Princess, because that it might potentially tie in to the new Zelda game, which is the sequel to Breath of the Wild that they did announce here. But we've got 9-ish months or something before that's released, so they could still potentially do them. But the other thing too is that they've always said that they wanted to do, ever since Breath of the Wild 1, that they wanted to have a Zelda game out every year, and we haven't had a Zelda game yet. So I feel like, this would be the perfect time to put those HD ports that they have on the Wii U and bring them over. That's the only negative, and I kept waiting, and I thought they were going to show it at the end, and they just ended up showing the new Zelda game, which I'm still, I'm more excited for the new game than I am the remakes, right? But it would have been nice to have those as well. Anyway, let's get the show on the road, because there's a lot here, and I kind of went in the order that they came out, and I'll talk a little bit more about the games that I'm really excited for. So the first one started off with a bang, Fire Emblem Engage. I'm super excited. The main character looks a little bit weird with people are saying that the main character looks like a toothpaste. That ain't great. But it's a new Fire Emblem game. Marth apparently will potentially be showing up here as maybe a summon or something like that as well. Either way, Marth is in this new game. It's more Fire Emblem. They do have a deluxe edition as well that's coming out, so I cannot wait for that, and that's what I'm going to be picking up. More Fire Emblem. You can't go wrong with that. It's crazy how the Switch has really just become this RPG machine. It's great. I absolutely love it. Then they showed It Takes Two. I'm not as excited for that game. Oh, and Fire Emblem Engage comes out January 20th. Did I mention that? That's insane. Just in a few months from now. It's like they have so many games coming out in the next few months. It's absolutely nuts. They have pretty much 2023. They have tons of games already. Well done. So It Takes Two was next shown. Then they showed Project Zero: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Not really looking forward to those games. Then they showed some Xenoblade Chronicles expansion expansion pass volume 2. That looked kind of cool, but I'm so far behind in the Xenoblade game, so I can't really get excited for that. They showed off Spongebob Squarepants: The Cosmic Shake. Potentially going to be good. I don't know. I've played some SpongeBob games before, and I've enjoyed them. So I might take a look at this, depending on how much they price it. Then they showed Fitness Boxing Fist of the North Star. Kind of cool. It has to do with Fist of the North Star, but I'm probably not going to pick it up. Oddballers, also a kind of game that, multiplayer aspect, wasn't really jiving with it. Tunic is coming to the Switch. So that's kind of cool. That does seem to really fit like it would fit on that console. Then they showed Front Mission First Remake and Front Mission 2 Remake. These weren't games that I've really been that excited for before, but I might give these a shot. They kind of looked like they would be kind of fun, so I might take a look at these. Then they showed Story of Seasons: A Wonderful Life. So we're getting the Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life remake for the Nintendo Switch. It's coming out in summer of 2023. I'm freaking out. So Story of Seasons is essentially Harvest Moon. It's the creators of Harvest Moon. They just don't have the license for Harvest Moon. That's why they're calling it Story of Seasons. And they had just recently done Story of Seasons: Friends of Mineral Town, which, that was essentially Back to Nature. Well, it was Harvest Moon: Friends of Mineral Town for the Game Boy Advance, which is essentially Harvest Moon: Back to Nature on PlayStation 1, which was a remake or a redone of Harvest Moon 64. But either way, that I absolutely, that's my favorite Harvest Moon game. So I'm really happy that they're continuing on with this. And I hope that we're going to be getting maybe, one remake, and then they'll make, and that's what it looks like we had. We had the Story of Seasons: Friends of Mineral Town. The year after that, we had Pioneer Town, Olive Town. I can't remember what, Pioneers of Olive Town, I think was the next game that was a brand new game. And now we have, once again, Wonderful Life. So I hope that they kind of go and look back at some of the old Harvest Moon games and say, okay, let's remake some of these while also making new stuff on the way. Splatoon 3, the next Splatfest. That's kind of cool that they're talking about that. I still haven't picked up Splatoon 3. I'm getting very tempted to get it, though. I was like, oh, I'll get it on launch day. Then I said no. And then I said maybe at Christmas. And now I might get it before then. I'm not really sure. I'm kind of tempted to get it. Then they showed Octopath Traveler 2 coming out, and that's coming out February 24th. So once again, we're getting Fire Emblem in January, and then right afterwards, we're getting Octopath Traveler a month later. That's insane. 2 really massive RPGs. Like, if you like RPGs, you've got quite a bit to play on the Switch in just terms of new games. So that I'm super excited for, although I need to beat Octopath Traveler 1. I don't know how much it would be really needed, but I definitely want to do that. And they showed Fae Farm, I believe. It was kind of like a multiplayer magical farm simulator of some kind. Like, it looked like there was some farming, some magical stuff as well, and it was a multiplayer game. Not the greatest graphics, but it was still kind of interesting, and I might pick that up depending on if I can get some of my friends that want to play this. Then I might get it. That of all the farming simulators, that was the one I was least excited about. But that's how many Farm Sims games so far. So they talked about, I guess, only Story of Seasons and Fae Farm so far. Fair enough. Okay. Then they had Theater Rhythm Final Bar Line. I'm not really into rhythm games, so I think that comes out February 16th or something. I didn't write it down, but I think it was February that's coming out. Not really my thing. They showed a little bit more of Mario Rabbids Spark of Hope, which I think is coming out in the next few months here. That does look fun, but once again, I haven't beaten the first one, so I'm not crazy excited about the sequel, although it does look really good. Then they showed Rune Factory 3 Special. So we're getting which originally came out on the DS. We're getting the port over on the Switch, just like they did with Rune Factory 4. And we also just got Rune Factory 5. Like, they're pumping out those Rune Factories like insane. And then they also announced that another Rune Factory game is being made. So they released Rune Factory 4 Special a few years ago. Rune Factory 5, literally, it's over here, so that's why I keep pointing over here. I don't know where my Rune Factory 4 is. It's somewhere in the background. Probably over there. But Rune Factory 5. And I am assuming that, I don't know if they showed it. They might have showed that it's coming in a special edition like this. But Rune Factory 4 and 5 did so far. I really like these. And this one kind of like shines. You can't even really see it. Yeah, you can see the rainbow. Anyway. And they're already working on another Rune Factory. Rune Factory 3 Special is coming out, and we're getting another Rune Factory as well. Awesome. I love the amount of farming games that we're getting. So that's the third one so far. Farming simulator. And then they showed the Nintendo 64 Switch Online Pass is getting a bunch, or expansion pack is getting a bunch of N64 games. They had Mario Party 1, 2, 3, Excite Bike 64, 1080p snowboarding, Pilot Wings 64, and Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. Like, that's a crazy amount of games. I'm out of those games. Mario Party 1, 2, 3. Those are my favorite Mario Party games by far. The 64 versions, and they look exactly like they do. I know it's crappy graphics for a lot of people, but I freaking love that. I cannot wait. And it has online. Sold. And then they announced that GoldenEye 64 is also coming to the Switch Pass. Like, that's with online multiplayer. The only thing that scares me about that one is that it's been so long since I've played it, and I do not know how that's going to play with a new controller, right? Like with the Pro controller for the Switch. Is it going to feel off? Because you don't really use the right analog stick. Like you use the C buttons there on the N64, but it was buttons, and I don't know how. It's going to be very weird. I don't know how I'm going to feel about it, but I definitely want to try it out. So that's exciting. It comes with, like, I already have the N64 online, so yeah, I'm gonna try it out. It's just extra games, but Mario Party games, I'm super excited for that. And the other games too. Every 1080 snowboarding, Excite Bike, Pilot Wings, those are super fun as well. Pokemon Stadium it was cool at the time, but I'll try it out for one battle or something, and just for the sake of it. Then they had Various Day Life, which is an RPG a new RPG that came out today, actually. So I guess that we're not going to get a physical edition, but I am tempted to actually try this out. So I might actually try that game out. It looks fun. It's just a turn-based RPG, which I love. So I'm going to give it a shot. It looked interesting to me. And the other nice thing about this is that a lot of these games, they're not going with crazy major graphics anymore. They're not like, for the Switch, you don't have to. And I wish that a lot of other publishers decided to do this, not make these games look super realistic. So I want some of them to look super realistic, but I really like going with a more artsy style that's very different from everything else, that is completely unique and to itself. Like if you look at a bunch of newer Final Fantasy games and a lot of newer RPGs that are made by Square, and you didn't really know, if you had never seen them before, they all kind of look the same, whereas this has its own unique style, and that's what I kind of like. Then they showed Factorio. I don't remember that. IB as well was another game that they showed. I don't really remember those ones. Mario Strikers Battle League is also getting a free update. I think Diddy Kong and another character were two of the characters that they're announcing. They showed Atelier Ryza 3, Alchemist of the End, and Secret Key. That's awesome that we're getting that. I think that was February that's coming out. But that's also, I think that's also coming out for the PlayStation 4 as well, I believe. Or PlayStation 5 at this point. I don't know necessarily, but I don't believe it's just going to be on the Switch for this one. Cool that they announced it here, though. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 3. We're getting a bunch of new levels there as well. That's always exciting. There was something for Nintendo Switch Sports. I don't remember what it was. Pikmin Bloom was the next one. I think that was a mobile game, so not too excited about that. Pikmin 4, though, was finally announced. This one, I think a lot of people were guessing, because I think like 2 years ago, it was announced that this game was like pretty much ready to go. And then it's just like, we never heard of it again. So it was really weird. But now it's finally, and I don't remember, I think it was just 2023, or that it's coming. I can't remember. I don't think that there was an actual official date for it, though. And they didn't really show much either. Next up, Just Dance 2023. Harvestella, they showed a little bit more of that. Game's coming out in November, and we just got a demo for that today. So that's another game that I want to try. I think I'm picking up day one anyway, but I would definitely like to try out the demo to see how that plays. And I think that's 4 so far for the farm sims. I'll do a count at the end here. Technically 5 with Rune Factory Special 3 plus another Rune Factory after that. So that technically is 2 games right there. It's not just one, because they technically announced another Rune Factory. So technically we're at 5, but they just didn't show anything other than the Rune Factory. Showed a little bit more for Bayonetta 3. I just recently picked up, is it over here? Yeah. I recently just picked up Bayonetta 2, which also includes Bayonetta 1 for the Switch. So I'm going to be playing that in the next little bit, because I do want to play that. I won't be picking it up on day one, but I'm hoping to play it not long after that. Master Detective Archives Raincode. This kind of looked a little bit interesting. It was a detective game, anime style. I was curious with this one. Then we had a bunch of Resident Evil games that were announced. That's kind of cool. Not what I would probably... I'd probably get this on like PlayStation 4 or something, but that was kind of neat. Sifu is coming to the Switch. It was first original on the PlayStation, and now Nintendo's getting it as well. It's crazy how a lot of games show up on PlayStation and Switch, but not Xbox. And then once in a while, Xbox also has something where they kind of work with Nintendo. It's just that Xbox and PlayStation never work together, but like publishers seem to go with like, oh, well, if it's an RPG, let's make it for the PlayStation and Switch. And then they'll have it on the PlayStation first, and then later on, Switch will get it down the road. Same thing with Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. That's crazy that we don't have the remake on anything else other than PlayStation at the moment, but Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is coming to the Switch. I think Xbox is getting it too. Radiant Silvergun, I don't remember. And Endless Dungeon, didn't really care about that. Tales of Symphonia Remastered, really excited for that. I mean, they did make the PlayStation 3 HD remaster a few years ago that also included the sequel. I think this is just the first game that we're getting in this one, so that's kind of unfortunate. But if it's more Tales games, right? Like, I'm going to take that and being able to play it on the Switch, even more excited for that. I hope that if this one does well enough, they'll do the sequel as well, because I really think it's just the first game. Life is Strange is coming, the Arcadia Bay Collection. Romancing Saga Minstrel Song Remastered is coming. That I'm excited for. They only showed these few games, they kind of just zoomed by, but I was excited for that one. Disney Speedstorm actually looks kind of like a fun kart racer, so I might get that one down the line. Lego Bricktales. That one also had my curiosity. Like, you're building these places, and then it also looked like Captain Toad, like where you're in this area and maybe potentially going around, or it might have just been you're building this area and it just looked like Captain Toad by chance. Fall Guys Season 2. Fall Guys is excellent, not on the Switch. I will not be playing that on Switch. It's horrible. It lags. It's just play it on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe. I didn't really like Return to Dreamland that much. I beat it, and like the only part that I really liked was the last boss, which was different from the entire game. And I was like, if the entire game would have been like that, I would have actually really enjoyed my time, but I did not like that. And then finally, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, coming out May 12th, 2023. They showed some gameplay, very minimal, just pretty much going from one area and another, kind of flying around in the sky, because that's going to be what you're going to be doing quite a bit in this game. Looks awesome, but 2023, we have to wait till May 12th. At least it's not in the last half of the year. We know that we're getting it, within the first 5 months into the new year, we're going to get it. I'm super excited for this. Like, this to me is probably going to be the best game of the year by far, unless there's something else completely new that blows it out of, like, the only things that I could see topping it for me personally would be if Elder Scrolls 6 comes out next year, which I don't think it will be. So Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 has a chance, because I loved the first one so much. Those are the only, but these are like the top games of all time for me. Like Remake and Breath of the Wild were in my top 5 video games of all time. Elder Scrolls 5 is also there, Skyrim. So that's why I say that there's a potential chance that something could beat it, but I highly doubt it. I think that these games are going to be absolutely amazing. I cannot wait. So that's it. That's everything that came out. Obviously, the ones that I'm most excited for. Fire Emblem Engage, getting that day one no matter what. I'm going to try to get the deluxe edition for that one. SpongeBob, I might play, but not day one. Story of Seasons, A Wonderful Life, getting that day one for sure. Octopath Traveler 2, I probably will pick it up day one, but I still have to beat the first one. So, but I do, and because I think that there is a collector's edition for it. So depending on what the collector's edition looks like, I might get that. Rune Factory 3 Special, I'll probably get that day one. Obviously, the Nintendo 64 games I'm super excited for, specifically for the Mario Party games, and GoldenEye as well. Pikmin 4, I'll probably get that day one. Tales of Symphonia Remastered, I will probably get that day one. Romancing Saga, I am tempted. And then obviously The Legend of Zelda. Like, that's clearly going to be day one. But those are the main ones. Did I say Harvestella as well? I don't know if I did. But that's a day one most likely, and I'm going to try it out. And yeah, that's it. It's crazy the amount of games that were coming out. And I'm like, pretty much every second game I was super into. Like, super into. Not just like kind of excited. Really excited. Arguably the best one that we've ever had. Like, this, it just screamed Kyle the entire time. So that's it. Let me know in the comments below what you're excited for this. If you think it was a massive failure, if you're really excited, or if you're somewhere in the middle. For me, this is exactly what I wanted. So thank you all for watching. You have been bearded in. Beardage.